Hey everyone, welcome back. We're about to take a deep dive into the world of omega fatty acids.
Oh, yeah. Those essential fats. Everyone they're talking about them.
They're crucial for our bodies to function right. So we're going to be focusing on this really interesting article I found from the ZinZino blog called The Omega 6.3 Ratio and Why You Should Test It.
Sounds intriguing.
It really is. And I think this deep dive will help everyone understand what that ratio is, why it even matters, and most importantly, what you can do to make sure you're getting that balance right.
It's a topic that's often overlooked even by those who consider themselves pretty health conscious.
For sure. The article starts by talking about personalized nutrition, which I found fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about how our modern diets, all those processed foods and quick meals can really mess up the balance of those essential nutrients we're getting.
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to omega fatty acids.
exactly. And when we say essential, we really mean it. Our bodies can't produce these on their own. We need to get them from our diet. Both omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are super important for things like cell function, regulating inflammation, and even brain health.
Right. Okay, so just a quick refresher here. When we talk about omega-3s, we're talking about the good stuff found in things like fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines.
Right.
But there are plant-based sources too, like flaxseed oil and walnuts.
Absolutely.
Then there's omega-6, which we find more in things like meat, poultry, eggs, right? They're both important.
Mm.
But as you said, it's all about finding the right balance.
You nailed it. The article really highlights that the ideal ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 should be 3.1. But get this, many people are walking around with ratios as high as 25.1.
25 to 1. Seriously, that's a huge difference. It makes you wonder, where do our own ratios even fall on that spectrum?
It's a question we're thinking about. These fatty acids are in every single cell membrane in our bodies. They impact how our cells talk to each other, how well they function, and even how well they can protect themselves from damage.
Is that what they call oxidative stress? The article definitely mentioned the potential consequences of an imbalance.
Yeah, for good reason. Think of it like a seesaw. When it's balanced, everything works smoothly. But if one side's way heavier, the whole thing gets wonky. That's what happens in the body when you have way too much omega-6 compared to omega-3. And that can lead to a lot of inflammation.
So more than just a bit of joint pain.
Unfortunately, yeah, chronic inflammation is a big deal. It's linked to some serious health problems like heart disease, certain types of cancer, even mood disorders like depression.
Wow, I know. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So when I saw the article mention something called the Omega Balance Test, a blood test that shows your unique fatty acid profile, I was pretty intrigued.
It's a really interesting tool. Instead of guessing, you get specific insights into your own omega balance. So you can take action based on those results.
So let's say you take the test and your ratio is off. What can you do to actually get it back in balance?
The article suggests two main things. First, we need to look at what we're eating. Are we getting enough omega-3s? Are we eating those fatty fish regularly? Or incorporating flaxseed oil, chia seeds, and walnuts into our diet?
So variety is key, making sure you're getting a good mix of those sources. But is it possible to still not get enough, even if you eat pretty healthy?
That's where the second part comes in. Targeted supplementation. The article mentions a product called Balance Oil Plus, which is a blend of fish oil, olive oil with polyphenols and vitamin D3.
Hold on, what are polyphenols?
Think of polyphenols like tiny shields for your cells. They protect them from damage. They're powerful antioxidants found naturally in things like olive oil. And the blend in Balance Oil Plus is designed to gently help shift that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio back to a healthier balance.
So it's about working with your body, giving it the tools it needs to find that balance.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a quick fix. The article recommends taking Balance Oil Plus for 120 days, along with making dietary changes, and then retesting to see how you're doing. It's about empowering you to understand your own body and take control of your health.
This is really making me think about my own omega intake. I'm already craving a salmon salad for lunch. But we've only scratched the surface here. What else does the article dive into?
Well, it goes on to talk about some of the details of omega-6, how not all omega-6s are created equal, and the importance of choosing the right types. That's where things get really fascinating.
So not all omega-6s are the same. Huh, that's news to me.
It's true. It's like omega-6 is a big family with different personalities. Some are good guys.
Yeah.
Totally essential for us, like for growth and development.
Okay, so there are good omega-6s. Then what's the problem with having too much of it?
Well, there's this one member of the omega-6 family, linoleic acid, and it can cause some trouble if we get too much of it.
Linoleic acid. Why does that sound familiar?
It's in a ton of processed foods. And it's in those common vegetable oils like corn, soybean, and sunflower oil. The ones you see everywhere.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about upping our omega-3s, it's also about choosing our omega-6s carefully.
Exactly. It's like weeding your garden. You want to nurture the good plants,
Yeah.
and you throw those pesky weeds.
Great analogy. So what can we do to swap out the bad for the good?
Instead of reaching for those processed vegetable oils, try using olive oil or avocado oil more often. They're full of healthy fats and antioxidants, but they're lower in linoleic acid.
So it's less about restriction and more about making smarter choices.
Exactly. It's about finding that perfect balance of fats that your body needs. And you know what's really exciting? The science around omega fatty acids is always growing. We're learning more and more about how they affect our bodies,
Well,
even beyond what we've talked about already.
so it's not just about heart health and inflammation then.
Nope, not at all. The article actually talks about some research that links omega-3s to brain health. It turns out that a balanced omega-6.3 ratio is super important for things like how well our brains work, our memory, and even our mood.
Really? I knew omega-3s were good for the brain, but I never thought about the ratio itself.
It makes sense when you realize our brains are made up mostly of fat, and those fats have to be the right ones to work properly. If we don't have enough omega-3s, or if we have way too much of certain omega-6s, it can throw things off balance.
So if someone's dealing with brain fog or has a family history of cognitive decline, this is something to pay attention to.
Definitely. And it just shows how understanding this ratio can have a big impact on different areas of our health. Our bodies are all connected.
I'm already starting to think about how I can change my diet and lifestyle based on all of this. But before we go too far down that road, we should probably circle back to that ZinZino balance test and those targeted supplements we mentioned. Let's dive deeper into those next time.
Okay, we're back, and we're ready to talk about the tools that can help us take control of our omega balance. Let's start with that ZinZino omega balance test. You mentioned it a couple of times. What is it exactly, and what makes it so special?
Well, it's a dried blood spot test, so it's super convenient and easy to do. You just prick your finger, collect a few drops of blood on a card, and send it off to their lab.
Sounds pretty simple. It is.
Yeah.
And what sets it apart is the amount of detail it gives you. It's not just like a basic omega-3 reading. It breaks down your fatty acid profile into 11 different fatty acids, including a close look at those important omega-6s.
So it's like a high-definition snapshot of your omega balance.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing where you stand is so important for making good decisions about your diet and any supplements you might want to try.
I can see that. You can't really fix something if you don't know what's wrong.
Right, exactly. And that's where those targeted supplements we talked about, like Balance Oil Plus, can be helpful. They're formulated to address those imbalances and help guide your ratio back to that 3.1 sweet spot.
So it's not about replacing healthy eating. It's about filling in the gaps and giving your body that extra boost it might need.
Exactly. And you know what's great about the balance test? You can retest after a few months of changing your diet and taking the supplements and see how your body's responding.
So you can track your progress and make adjustments along the way.
Exactly. It's all about fine-tuning your approach and making it work for you.
Okay, let's recap what we've learned today. We talked about that ideal omega-6 to omega-3 ratio being 3.1. But a lot of us might be way off because of how we eat these days.
Right. And we also learned that not all omega-6s are bad. It's about choosing the right ones.
And we explored how important that balance is for our overall health, everything from our hearts to our brains and even our mood.
Absolutely. And we talked about those cool tools like the ZinZino balance test and targeted supplements like Balance Oil Plus that can help us get to and maintain that balance.
So much good stuff. And it's all about taking charge of our health, learning about our bodies and being proactive.
Couldn't agree more.
So for everyone listening, I want to leave you with this thought. Now that you know about omega balance, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to look at your food choices differently? Maybe try out that balance test, or even check out those targeted supplements. It's really up to you to decide what works best for your own health journey.
And remember, it's all about making choices that match your own goals and needs.
Well said. It's been an incredible journey diving deep into this world of omega fatty acids. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
Absolutely. And don't forget, the journey to a healthier you is always ongoing.
Yeah.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep striving for that balance.
Until next time, stay curious, everyone.